As one of the architects of the sound of young America, he discovered musicians, he wrote hit songs, and he produced superstars. Mickey Stevenson, Motown's first A&R man.
Motown's 50th anniversary celebration was not about the stars, Diana, Stevie, Smokey, Lionel, the Temptations, etc., but about the people who made the stars, the unsung heroes. And Mickey Stevenson leads the list.
Mickey Stevenson is my brother. He has not received his props as someone who has contributed so much to the musical world.
There were a few stops on the way to Mickey's Motown triumphs. He got some experience in the military with shows at bases across the country. When his hitch was up, he hit the road with the great Lionel Hampton as a member of the Hamptones.
Now, there was still nothing really happening in the music business until I met Berry Gordy. Now, Berry and I met at a barbershop, Billy Mullen's barbershop. We called him Muldoon. Benny liked to introduce people, so he introduced Berry and I. He said to me, okay, hey, Mick, this is the guy that wrote that song you like by Jackie Wilson. I said, what are you talking about? To Be Loved. He wrote that song. So I was excited, but I was real cool. I said, oh man, that's a great song. I mean, Jackie Wilson's my man. And Berry said, well, I'm doing an album on him. I said, well, you know, I got a couple of songs for Jackie Wilson. I thought I'd try to ease that in there. He gave me a little smirk on his face. He said, okay, well, we'll see about that.
Mickey tried to convince Berry Gordy that he should sing for Motown.
If only the sky was a mirror.
But the chairman had other ideas.
As soon as he started singing, I said, what else can you do?
He said, your voice is for shit. But your song seems all right.
He said, I got some more songs. I said, what else can you do? He said, anything that has to do with music. I said, well, I'm looking for an A&R man, a director. Can you do that? Absolutely, he said.
Well, that was not what I came there for. But I figured, okay, if we have to get in, I got to get in. So I said to him, how much you paying? And that little grin came on his face. And he said, $5 a day. I said, what? And all the chili you can eat. So I said, let me ask you a question. Am I in charge? I'm in charge of the musicians and the artists and all that? He said, yeah. Can I sign and record anybody I want to record? He said, yeah. You're the A&R man. That's what A&R people do.
And so Berry listened to him, and he didn't think he was going to make a good artist, but he liked Mickey's demeanor. And so Mickey ended up becoming our first A&R director at Motown.
I met Mickey Stevenson when I was still in high school. I had started to play with a local band and was told that I needed to join the Musicians Union. So I went to the Musicians Union to join up. And I saw this guy who was very smartly dressed, and he kind of stuck out. And I asked him about it, who's that guy? And he said, well, that guy is Mickey Stevenson. He's over here putting together some musicians for Hitsville. I said, Hitsville? Well, I heard of Hitsville, it's a local company, which was later to become Motown.
Mickey went around to little clubs in Detroit and one by one gathered the guys who became the Funk Brothers. And they were like an awesome band. And they played on almost every Motown record ever in the early days of Motown. So Mickey is responsible for putting that group together. And that is very, very, very significant to the history of Motown.
The Funk Brothers created that unmistakable sound that launched 1,000 hits.
And we did not make hit records for white people. We did not make hit records for black people. We made hit records for everybody on the planet. And that's the excellence that we strive to have.
I noticed sometimes Mickey would come up and he would stand up in the control booth. I very seldom saw Barry, but I saw Mickey all the time because he was a writer. I didn't know he was a writer. And no matter who it was, they come in naturally when a new musician comes in, he wants to know who's the power. It was Mickey. You don't usually find an executive with that kind of clout where you call him Mickey. It's Mr. Stevenson or something. Now that would be fitting, but he didn't come off like that where he would demand that kind of approach to it, and it worked very well for him.
We were dedicated to getting the best out of those that we signed to this company. And that meant all of us. I'm talking about from the producers to the writers. We were working at our best to give them the best so they could be the best. It was a phenomenal feeling. It became a family-type feeling. That was, I guess that was part of the dream of Berry Gordy. We all bought into that dream.
Mickey and all of us had that family kind of relationship right on. So basically, we all grew up together.
Well, this Motown thing was great. I was working my ass off. Things was happening. Artists was producing, was getting writers. Everything was really cooking. And just like he said, I was in charge. No problems. I had no problems with nobody. I did whatever I thought could make this thing work. I decided I could find some jazz artists. I'm in Chicago, and I find this one girl. So I tell the girl, I said, look, this is your town. You know all the musicians. Okay, I need some songs. When everybody's got the same thing, it ain't happening. Okay, I'm wore out. It's late. I can't take no more. They want to eat. They order some pizza. The pizza guy comes. It's late, like about 1 o'clock in the morning. He's walking down, white boy. I said, hey man, you coming at this hour but delivering pizzas on the south side of Chicago? You crazy? He said, I heard the music down the hall and you guys looking for songs and stuff? I said, man, why don't you leave that pizza and get out of here? He said, no man, I mean, I heard you guys was playing. I thought maybe I'm a songwriter and all that. And he kept talking and talking and I said, hold it. I told the guy at the piano, get up. Can you play piano? He said, yeah. I said, let me hear your song. The guy sits down on the piano, makes an arpeggio. He starts singing. For once in my life, I have someone who needs me. I said, stop, man. You wrote that song? He said, yeah. I said, you got any more? He said, yeah. He started, I said, don't play it. I reached in my pocket, pulled out the money for the pizza. Then I peeled off another $100. I said, you meet me at the airport. I'll take you to Detroit and make you a songwriter.
Mickey has always been a good talker. Mickey's what you call a convincer. You know what I mean? As far as convincing people to do what he feels like they should be doing. And most of the time, when he convinces people, it's been for their betterment.
Mickey turned out to be the greatest A&R man ever. He wrote, produced, brought in musicians like the Funk Brothers, brought my attention to Little Stevie Wonder. He even brought in a pizza delivery guy who was a writer who wrote the biggest standard song we had, a song called For Once in My Life. His name was Ron Miller.
Things started happening. We started having hit records. People were coming from everywhere to be a part of Motown. They came to Motown with hope. They knew that if they got into Motown, it could happen for them. And they were right. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a formula for audition. I was just looking for things. I was looking for singers, songwriters, producers, even musicians. If you got something and it was working, I wanted it.
In the first 5 years of Motown, thousands of people auditioned in person and hundreds of tapes were mailed to Hitsville.
Oh.
Mickey Stevenson reviewed them all.
Berry Gordy came to me, and he said, I want you to and he brought Marvin Gaye with him. And he said, Mickey, I want to hit on this guy. Now Marvin was a jazz singer, and he didn't want him singing jazz, he wanted a hit record. Now, that was a challenge for me. I had to try to make this thing work.
Mickey was the one who turned Marvin around to become the Marvin Gaye that we knew, because prior to that, Marvin was singing like standard tunes. That's what he wanted to be. Marvin wanted to be Nat King Cole or somebody like that. And that was his dream of becoming a singer. Marvin could actually sing anything. He was one of the greatest singers ever in history. He was one of my favorite people to ever work with. Mickey was the one who convinced Marvin to start singing rhythm and blues. And he and Marvin wrote this song called Stubborn Kind of Fella. I guess it was probably about Marvin, because Marvin was a stubborn kind of fella.
When we finished it, we played it back. I said, now what do you think? He said, man, that's pretty good. We laid it on Barry. That was his first record. Then we started doing the next one and the next one. And by this time, he didn't need me to sing anything. Not only could he sing the part, he would fix it, change it. He was into it. Marvin became, as you know, just wonderful. But his confidence was fantastic, to the point that he didn't mention any jazz to me for some time.
Well, the artist that Mickey brought to Motown, probably the most famous of them would be Martha. You know, Martha Reeves.
Martha Reeves, who was my secretary, who wanted me to sign her to a contract as a singer for some time. I said, Martha, why don't you sing this song we have here? I need a demo, and I want to give it to Kim Weston. And so Martha said, okay. She took the lyrics. Marvin and I went over the song with her for a minute, and she walked out in the studio. I'm ready. She started singing. The song was Dancing in the Street. When Martha finished that song, Ivy Joe, Marvin, and we just looked at each other. Like, and Ivy Joe said, did you hear what I just heard? I said, yeah, man. Marvin said, that's a smash. Ivy said, that's exactly what I'm talking about. On Martha. And I said, yeah, but we got to do this song. But they said, hold it, William R. You the man here? I said, yeah. You the A&R man? Yeah. Your word is the final word here? I said, yeah. That song is a hit on Martha. I looked at him, I said, Martha got the song, and Marvin said, you the man, you the A&R man. Song was phenomenal. It was like one of our biggest songs.
Motown Records was formed as America went into its decade of challenge and change. Long and wrongly held racial attitudes were challenged by the young. Resistance to change was punctuated by the barking of dogs, the harsh sounds of fire hoses, and police sirens. The Motown sound marched in picket lines, went to school with pioneers breaking segregation barriers, and to war with the young black soldiers in Vietnam. A challenged nation went through changes, and Motown's music became the sound of young America.
We were very excited about not only the march, but the fact that families all over America, black and white, were really getting into the Motown sound. Motown music had a calming effect. It was a love potion in troubled times, and it still is. The Motown artists had to be not just singers, but they had to be good performers. And the problem is, we only had one shot to take. Once they were appearing, they had to be great. But you take an artist like the Supremes, the Four Tops, Temptations, even the Miracles, they didn't waste no time getting better and better. They didn't miss no schedules, they didn't miss no rehearsals. They were on it, on top of it. And people like Diana Ross and Smokey, they would stay longer. If the hours were 2 hours, they'd be there 3 hours. They'd have somebody else waiting to get in because they wanted to get it right. And that was so encouraging and it's so powerful. And when they hit the stage, you could see the difference. It was great. Clarence Paul, who was a writer, producer with us, I brought Clarence in to work with me at Motown. He was doing a great job working with me, but as far as producing a hit on an artist, it wasn't happening. And then I said, okay, Clarence, we gotta have a talk. Now, the day of the meeting, he started to speak first. He said, if this artist I found, I'd like to work with him. I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you work with the artist? Bring him in and do a couple of songs, let's see what happens. He said, but I gotta tell you one thing. I said, what's that? He said, he's real young. I said, how young? We got a lot. He said, I mean real young. I said, you mean as a kid? I said, oh man. Okay, man, let's get it over with. Bring him on in. He said, one more thing, William R. He said, he's blind. I said, Clarence, here's the deal. Wherever I see that kid, I want to see you. Hand in hand, never apart. I don't want to see nothing or hear nothing about anything happening to him unless you're standing right there. He said, okay, William R., I got this. I said, okay. He left. A few days later, Clarence comes back and he has Stevie with him. He takes Stevie down to the studio. Benny Benjamin's on the drums. The guys are playing, they're working on the tune, kind of working it out. He takes Stevie over to the drummer. Benny gives him the drums. Stevie sits down. Right in on top, right on the tempo, right on the whole 9 yards. And he's doing to pick it up. Then Clarence takes him from the drums, takes him over to the piano player, and piano player get up, Stevie sits down, feels around a little bit, and then right on that, playing the piano right inside the pocket, never stops. The groove is going on, all the guys is getting hyped up and they playing everything. Stevie gets off the piano, Clarence takes Stevie over to the microphone. Stevie takes the harmonica out of his pocket, puts it up to his mouth. Now remember, this pocket, this groove is still going in the studio. Everybody's right in there. And then he started saying, I started singing and playing and blowing his ass. Wow, everybody looked around. Clarence had this big grin on his face, took Steve Bell by the hand, took him out. All the producers immediately started thinking, what songs are gonna get this kid? The rest is history.
Oh, Stevie Wonder!
Taking Mickey's directions, Clarence was by Stevie's side from childhood through manhood as co-writer, producer, and father figure.
I think about the time that I came to Motown, the producers, as one we have here tonight today, Mickey William Stevenson, who was one of the first people that I met when I came to Motown. Yeah, Mickey!
We were gathering a lot of young, talented people, and they brought with them their own individual problems, personalities, doubts, and all that.
To run a company with so many stars in it at one time, you had to be able to run it effectively, but not with an iron fist. And I never heard him say a swear word to anyone. You had to be clever dealing with people as super talented as they were. You had to know how to get what you want out of them and not make yourself vulnerable and still run the boat.
And what came out of it was that I became a brother, a friend, a parent, a mentor. Each one I had a different position with. And in being that person to them, I could get them to do the best that they could do.
I asked Earl how much clout did Mickey Stevenson have. He said, under Barry, you got Mickey. You don't get anything done here without him. And I found out that if you're gonna get a song out, you have to deal with him. If you're gonna get a song recorded, you have to deal with him. But he didn't come on like a heavy.
Even though we were all competitive, we were still one. So therefore, it was nothing for you to add a line to my song or me to add some to your song or someone come behind with a hook. It would all go in and you would all get the credit for it. And I think that's what made the hits, because everybody gave from their heart to the music.